Hey family, hey, how y'all doing? So, hold on. Hello everyone. So today let me introduce myself. Hello everyone. My name is Ashley from Cannabis Nursing Solutions. And I wanted to talk to you all today about time management. So I kind of heard it come up in one of the conversations that I've recently had. And it didn't come up in the I'm having trouble in time management sense. It came up in the I'm not sure what to do next. And I got a lot of stuff on my plate kind of scenario, right? Which to me indicates that time management is something that needs to be worked on because running a business and being in this space and having a lot of people reaching out to you and wanting to do stuff with you, it can overburden and tax your time, and you can experience burnout similar to as when you're working on the floor. So what we refer to in the nursing world as time management is usually around what time you get your medications out. So do you have them out between this time and this time? When you do your assessments, when you make your phone calls, and if anything comes up in between, you have to kind of stretch your time and, for lack of a better word, to accommodate this new thing that has come up. And sometimes you'll end up working a little bit later if you're not so good with managing your time for the day based on what was thrown at you. And other times like you'll be right out and you'll skip off at 7 o'clock on the dot right after you give report. So it really is just based on the circumstance of the external environment, and then also what it is that you put in place, what safeguards you put in place to make sure that you are able to get things accomplished. But you have to be intentional about it. So a lot of us have like little cheat sheets, in the nursing world, like you'll write like what meds you have to do and what interventions you have to perform, and you write down some of the patient's needs and like food recommendations, so that way you don't have to keep going back and forth to the computer. That helps with extra steps and things of that nature. So that's what we're familiar with in nursing, and it's very similar when you're independent and entrepreneur too, right? Like you should have cheat sheets and you should have things to kind of remove extra steps that don't need to be there, and you have to be intentional about it. So all of that being said, in order to master time management as an entrepreneur, you have to create goals. So I did a whole video on goal setting for the Endocannabinoid Specialty Nurse. And if you need a refresher on how to set those goals, please go back to that video. But goal setting is super important, not just at New Year's, not just, whenever you feel like it that year or whatever. You should be setting goals regularly, and you should have short-term and long-term goals, and then lifetime goals, right? Like what do you want to see your life? And I always talk about those 3 tiers of goals, because a lot of times we get caught up in the short-term goals that we can't even think beyond the short-term goal to the long-term goal. So the example that I come up with is like a river. So you're walking through the forest and you come across a river and you're trying to figure out how to get across the river. So that's your first challenge. So your goal, your immediate goal, is to get across the river. But if there's a bear past the river and to the right a little bit, and you have to look beyond the river in order to see the bear, if you're so focused on the river, you won't see the bear, and the challenge of the bear will come and hit you and surprise you, and you'll have no idea, and then he'll eat you alive, right? So the better way to look at that is, okay, let's pay attention to my current goal, get across the river, but let's look at how far I can see into the future. Let's look at the entire path that I can see with my eyesight, right? Like, can I see you, bear? Yeah, I can see you. Now I can plan to avoid the bear as opposed to blindly running into the bear. So those are your long-term goals. The bear is your long-term goals. The river is your short-term goal. And then what you envision, the new world that you're traveling to, that you can't see, you're not really sure what's there, but you create an image in your mind that keeps you going. Those are your lifetime goals, right? So you have to know those before you can manage your time, because your time management the things that you choose to spend your time on should be directly related to the goals that you're trying to achieve in the immediate, the long term, and in your lifetime. If they do not align with those goals, you should not be doing them. So part of it comes with having a team and having people that you can delegate to. And a lot of us are solopreneurs at this point. So maybe you can't always delegate to, let's say, a virtual assistant or something, but I'm sure you have like maybe family or friends that have strengths and weaknesses that you can, say, hey, I need a favor. Can you do this for me? Can you help me with this? Based on your strengths and weaknesses, right? So managing your time goes back to, or should be directly correlated with the goals that you have, right? And then you prioritize them based on whether they're aligned with your short-term, your long-term, and your lifetime goals. So your high priority goals is, I need to get across the river to get to the other side, right? Right shortly after that, once you've accomplished that goal of getting to the other side, you now have a new set of goals. Avoid this bear. But because you already had the foresight to see that bear, you already had a micro plan in place. You already knew what your next steps were, so you can start executing on them immediately. As opposed to getting across the river, sitting down, seeing the bear, having to recoup, running the opposite direction because the bear scared the crap out of you. And then now you're back across the river. You got to figure out how to get back across the river. So now you done created extra steps for yourself because you didn't foresee what was to come and what was coming next. That's how you'll manage your time. And that's how you'll reduce the amount of clutter that kind of comes your way. Because the other thing that tends to happen is we see the short-term goal, we see the long-term goal, we see the lifetime goal. We're trying to achieve all of it in a cluster. You know, I gotta defeat the bear while you're still trying to get across the river, knowing that the bear can't cross the river to get to you. So the bear's not a threat in the moment, but you're still focused on the bear. Or you're so focused on this thing that you know feel good in the far away future, that you're so focused on that you're not executing in the current state. Right? So then you start making and doing things that you don't need to be doing. So you're adding things to your plate. You're making it part of your responsibility to do these things when you don't have to. You don't have to. So I hope this was helpful as far as refocusing on your time management and not putting so much pressure on yourself to achieve so much throughout a day. We all get 24 hours. You are no different than every other human being. You're no different than Bezos. You are no different than, I don't know, come up with another millionaire that does a million things and you're trying to figure out how. So at the end of the day, you need to definitely take some time to think about what your goals are. Take some time to evaluate how you're managing your time. There are tools out here that kind of help list and prioritize. You can use a piece of paper like old school, like we used to do in nursing school or when we worked the floors, or you can look into electronic software. So I believe one is called Trello. And there are other softwares out there that'll help you manage your time so you can keep track of it. You can invite people to help participate in it and all of that. So yeah, so I hope that was helpful. The topic came up, or I thought of the topic while I was in our weekly meetup on Mondays at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in just joining and tagging along, definitely I'll put the link in the comments. And have a great day. I hope that was helpful. Talk to you soon. Bye.